They were filming horror when horror stepped off the script. No monsters, no special effects. Just real people caught in moments so horrific they shattered lives and redefined film history. Today we dive into the moment horror production went too far. Not staged, not fake. Cameras rolled until tragedy struck. This is the darkest truth behind the world's most infamous horror sets. Number 1. Twilight Zone, the movie. In 1982, director John Landis set out to recreate the magic of the Twilight Zone television series in a new anthology horror film. But on the night of July 23rd, during the filming of a chaotic Vietnam War scene in Santa Clarita, California, the set turned into something far more real than anyone expected. Actor Vic Morrow was carrying 2 young children through a shallow riverbed, explosions erupting around them. A low-flying helicopter hovered just feet above their heads, part of the practical effects. And then it dropped. The helicopter spun out of control. The blades came down fast, and in a single instant, Vic Morrow and the 2 children were killed on camera. The accident was horrifying. Morrow was decapitated. The 2 child stars, Micah Dinley, age 7, and Renation Yi Chen, age 6, were crushed by the aircraft. The entire crew watched, helpless, as the scene turned from cinema into tragedy. The most disturbing part? It was preventable. John Landis had allegedly ignored multiple safety concerns. The child actors were hired illegally, under the table, bypassing child labor laws that would have prohibited them from working at night or near explosives. The parents were reportedly not told how dangerous the scene would be. Court documents revealed chaos on set. Crew members testified that the explosions were set too close to the helicopter. The pilot lost control in the fireball, and the cameras kept rolling. For years, rumors swirled that footage of the accident still exists, locked away, never to be seen by the public. But those who were there, they can never unsee it. Landis and several crew members were charged with manslaughter. The trial dragged on for years. In the end, no one was convicted. But the incident permanently scarred Hollywood and changed how movies are made. It was the first time filmmakers had been held criminally responsible for deaths on a movie set. And though the film was completed and released, the shadow of what happened that night lingers over every frame, because The Twilight Zone was meant to blur the line between fiction and reality. But this time, it crossed it. Number 2. The Exorcist, Set of Misfortune. In 1972, a film crew began production on what would become one of the most infamous horror movies ever made. But just weeks into shooting, something strange began to happen. A bird flew into a power box. The set went up in flames. Everything was destroyed except for one room, Regan's bedroom, where the film's possession would take place. Then the accidents began. Serious injuries, mysterious deaths, real screams caught on film. What was meant to be a story about evil began to feel like it had summoned something it couldn't control. The director, William Friedkin, wanted authenticity at any cost. Actors were rigged to harnesses that violently jerked them across the room. Ellen Burstyn, who played Regan's mother, was pulled so hard she fractured her lower spine. The scream she let out? It was real, and it's the one used in the final cut. Crew members were injured too. A lighting technician lost several fingers. A security guard dropped dead on set. And actor Jack McGowan died shortly after finishing his scenes, just as his character did in the film. The fear spread so deep that Friedkin brought in a real priest, Father Thomas Birmingham, to bless the set. Rumors swirled of cold spots, equipment malfunctions, and strange voices heard during editing. Even theaters felt it. Some audiences fainted, others vomited. Some said they felt something evil in the room with them. The Exorcist wasn't just cursed, it was haunted. And to this day, many believe that what happened on that set went beyond coincidence. That in trying to tell a story about demons, the crew may have invited something in, something that never left. Number 3. The Crow, Brandon Lee. In 1993, a gothic revenge thriller was about to make Brandon Lee a household name. But on March 31st, inside a dimly lit apartment set in Wilmington, North Carolina, something went horribly wrong. Lee stood on set, ready for his character's dramatic death scene. But as the cameras rolled and a co-actor pulled the trigger on what was supposed to be a harmless prop gun, Brandon collapsed. Blood soaked through his costume. Confused crew members thought he was acting, but Brandon wasn't moving. What they didn't know was that a real bullet had just torn through his body. Brandon was rushed to New Hanover Regional Medical Center. Doctors tried for 6 hours to stop the internal bleeding, but it was too late. Bruce Lee's son, just 28 years old, was declared dead at 1:03 p.m. So how did it happen? It started with a simple oversight. The previous scene used dummy bullets for close-ups, harmless casings meant to look real. But no one properly cleared the gun. When a blank was loaded for the next scene, it ignited the lodged dummy tip like a live round. That one fatal error pierced Brandon's abdomen and cut through his spine. It ended the life of an actor and exposed just how careless Hollywood could be. What makes the story darker is that the footage exists. The moment Brandon was shot is believed to have been caught on camera, though it was never released publicly. The film was eventually finished using body doubles, clever editing, and shadows, but The Crow was no longer just a movie. It became a ghost story, one that blurred the line between fiction and fatal reality. Horror thrives on pretending we're safe, but every one of these stories shows us just how fragile that illusion is. The film set, a place of creation, became a stage for real trauma. Not actors, not tricks. Real pain, real loss. And once you know what happened, every scream, every shadow carries a new weight. They called it the price of greatness. But ask yourself, was it worth it? What drives a director to risk life for a shoot? Is art worth human cost? Next time you watch The Crow or The Exorcist, ask, are you seeing fiction or bearing witness to tragedy? Because some horrors don't come from the screen, they come from what happened to make it.